So as we discuss cost-benefit analysis, we will see what is the mechanism for doing this cost-benefit analysis. Okay. Now the benefit, word benefit basically means advantage or satisfaction or utility that you get from doing something. So you can understand that this is really a very subjective concept, right? If I ask you that, okay, you drank a bottle of water, what is your benefit of drinking that bottle of water? Your only answer would be, it quenched my thirst. But if I ask you, can you quantify your benefit of drinking this water? It will be hard for you to quantify or give a number to this. So you cannot really objectify benefit or satisfaction. It's a very subjective concept. However, when it comes to cost, it's a little more easier to objectify or measure cost, because simply you could put it in terms of dollars. But in economics, we just do not look at the dollar cost of something, but we try to go beyond that. So before we move any further into cost benefit analysis, let us digress and understand the concept of cost in economics. Now, if you were in an accounting class and I said what is cost, then an accounts class will just tell you about the dollar cost of something, which is really the accounting cost. So the accounting cost is basically the dollar cost of something, or in other words, it is the explicit cost that is expressed in terms of dollars. But every option, every decision not only has an accounting cost, not only has a dollar value, but sometimes it has something beyond that. In other words, it does have an implicit cost, an embedded cost. We are not able to see that, or we are not able to quantify that, but it is there. This implicit cost is also known as opportunity cost. Now, what is this implicit cost? This implicit cost or opportunity cost is basically your sacrifice for doing something. So let's say you decide on taking an economics class. When you take the economics class, what you sacrificed was taking the music class. So besides paying for the tuition fees, besides paying for the credit hours, which is your accounting cost, you're taking the economics course also has an implicit cost or a sacrifice attached to it, which is basically your opportunity cost. In this case, your sacrifice is taking the music course. Similarly, let's say you have 2 hours of free time, and during those 2 hours you may have gone and watched a movie with your friends, or you could have worked at the restaurant for 2 hours and made $20 per hour and made a money like something $40, right, in those 2 hours. So instead of doing either of those, if you decide to stay home, not go out with your friends and not go out and work, instead just rest for 2 hours, then obviously there is a cost attached to those 2 hours. So the cost attached to those 2 hours is the explicit cost of the 2 hours, that is the money that you gave up, the money that you have spent by staying at home. And in addition to that, there is also an implicit cost, that is what you gave up, your sacrifice in terms of the pleasure that you could have derived by going out with your friends, or the money that you could have made by working at the restaurant, right? So every decision in your life has an accounting cost which could be quantified in terms of dollars, but there is also an opportunity cost or implicit cost, is basically what you have foregone or sacrificed to take this option. Now, as accountants, they only concentrate on this part, the accounting cost or the explicit cost. But what sets us as economists different from accountants is that we are not only worried about the accounting cost, but we are also worried about the opportunity cost or the implicit cost. So the economic cost of something, which is basically the true cost or the total cost of something in economics, it is the accounting cost plus the opportunity cost. Now this is something you should remember forever, right? So basically when we are doing a cost benefit analysis, we are looking at the economic benefit, which is the utility or satisfaction that you derive from something, and we weigh it against the economic cost, where economic cost is your accounting cost plus opportunity cost. So now if we concentrate on economic cost, you can see that there is one part that is quantifiable, objective, but there is also another part which may not always be quantifiable, which may not always be able to be objectified. For example, the pleasure that you derive by going out for a movie with your friends. What satisfaction or what could you could have got. Now when we talk about the resting at home example, so if you rest for 2 hours at home, you have given up the pleasure of being with your friends at a movie theater. Now how do you quantify that sacrifice? It is not really quantifiable, it is subjective. So you can understand that both benefit and cost, as we address them in economics, become a little subjective. They are not objective concepts. So in the cost benefit analysis that we do, how do we really objectify it? So how do we compare them? Now in order to go through an objective process in economics, the cost benefit analysis is done through marginal analysis. So we follow marginal analysis in doing this cost benefit analysis. What do we mean by marginal analysis? Marginal analysis basically means that instead of looking at total cost or total benefit of doing something, we just look at the marginal benefit which is also called MB, and the marginal cost which is called MC. Okay, so instead of weighing total benefit or total cost of an option, we look at the marginal benefit or the marginal cost. So in your summer vacation example, whether you're going to Cancun or you're going to Switzerland, which option do you pick? You are going to do a marginal analysis where you look at the marginal benefit and marginal cost of going to Mexico, Cancun, and you weigh it against the marginal benefits and the marginal cost of going to Switzerland. Now what does this marginal analysis mean? Marginal analysis basically means, very technically, it means that we are looking at the benefits and the costs at the margin. Now if I simplify that for you, it simply means what benefit or cost are you getting. So what benefit are you getting and what cost are you incurring for every unit of a resource that you spend on that decision. So basically, if you are talking about going to Cancun, you are going to see that, okay, if I spend $1 in going to Cancun, what is the benefit of that dollar spent on the trip, and what is the real cost of spending that dollar on the trip. Now remember that the real cost of the dollar is not just the accounting cost, not that the dollar that you have spent, but also the sacrifice that you have made for that dollar. What else you could have spent that dollar on, which you are now spending on the Cancun trip here. Okay, so marginal benefit and marginal cost basically tells you about what is the benefit or the cost of spending one unit of a resource in doing something. So for example, let's say you have a test tomorrow and you have studied for the test for 1 hour. Now you have another hour available and you have to make a decision whether you spend that additional hour on Facebook or you spend that hour on studying for the test tomorrow. So if you already studied for 1 hour, right? So now your question is whether you should spend that additional hour in studying or doing something else like Facebooking or Snapchatting, right? Now how will you weigh that? You will look at your marginal benefit. So your marginal benefit is going to be the benefit that you derive from that additional hour of study, and your marginal cost is going to be the cost that you incur for that additional hour of study, right? So the marginal benefit may be the prospect of making a better grade tomorrow, the prospect of getting more score on your test tomorrow, and the marginal cost may be what you have to give up by studying. If you study, then maybe you give up 1 hour of Facebooking time, or you give up 1 hour of resting time, or 1 hour of TV watching time. That is what you give up. So that's your marginal cost. So in taking your decision, you are basically weighing the benefit of this 1 hour versus the cost of this 1 hour. And please note that you are always doing this cost benefit analysis, this marginal analysis, in terms of every additional unit that you spend, every additional unit of the resource that you spent on doing this. So then this becomes a little more technical or an objective process, and it makes it easier. So that means when we are doing a cost benefit analysis, we are really weighing the marginal benefit, that is MB and MC. And there are 3 possible options. If you have the marginal benefit greater than the marginal cost, then you really end up taking the option, right? You do that because your benefit is higher. If you end up thinking that, okay, my marginal benefit is going to be less than my marginal cost, then you do not take that option. Simple. Don't go that way. Okay? Don't take that option. And there might be a third possibility, that you are indifferent. Your marginal benefit is exactly equal to your marginal cost. Then you don't know what to do, and there must be something else that happens which must force you to take that decision, because right now you are indifferent. You have not been able to reach a conclusion of whether your benefit is higher or your cost is higher. So something else, something autonomous or exogenous must happen which pushes you to take the decision. So as we move forward in this module, we are going to start from this point. We are going to focus on this point on C. What is that something exogenous which can help an individual to take a decision from this point? That means if I do not know what I'm going to do, if I do not know whether the benefit is higher than the cost or the cost is higher than the benefit, then what is that something exogenous that can push me towards taking a decision? Okay? Or is there something that can really affect decision making?